Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning, Dr. Nika, staff and guests.
Please remain standing for the school prayer. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God, for another day. Help us with our work today. Protect us and our teachers so we can do the best that we can in the classroom, on the playground, and on the sports field. Thank you for the meals we have and for the opportunity to be educated. Forgive us, dear God, when we do wrong, and guide us to the path of righteousness. Let our hearts remember you. Help us to love like you do. Please shine your light into our school. Amen.
We'll now proceed with the school song.
Our Lord shall be forever a tribute unto thee. Our loyal hearts and ever shall crown thy memory. Our path we shall not fear, and while we serve thee here, we hope and pray that day by day we hold thy honor dear. God grant as we grow older that we increase in grace, and growing ever bolder maintain our rightful place. Thy fondest memory shall bridge the years to be, and by our lives we shall achieve our tribute unto thee.
Boys and girls, please be seated. A warm and sincere welcome to each and every person seated here today. Dr. Nika, staff, governing body members, and boys and girls of Brighton Beach. It is an honor to stand here today to commemorate our school's 70th celebration. As a former student and now educator of Brighton Beach, this journey has been a memorable one. From the memories created and friendships forged as a child, to the lessons learned and the lessons taught as an adult, I am truly grateful to be part of the Brighton Beach Senior Primary family. With the quality educators and principals that have paved the way for us, I am proud to share this legacy. I wish Brighton a happy 70th birthday. May you continue to excel in excellence. I would like to call Dr. Nika to present us with the principal's address.
History is a story of events. History is our story. Am I right, children?
Yes.
It's our story. Today is our story. Am I right?
Yes.
We are making history, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So, today is 26th May 2023. When did our school open? 27th May 1953. So we are making history today here in Brighton Beach on the 26th. But tomorrow is our birthday. Isn't that so?
Yes.
It's our school, it's our history, it's our story. So we are now part of the story of Brighton Beach's history. Am I right?
Yes.
We are making history. Therefore, we are living history. not just what you see in a book, a textbook. Sorry, Miss Lavini and gang. But history is us doing things. We make history. Am I right, children?
Yes.
Isn't this exciting?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And what you see before you are beautiful guests here. They are examples of the living history of Brighton Beach over the years. They have made history over the years. They are going to share their history that happened here over the years. One day, you too will share your history of what happened in Brighton Beach today. Imagine 30 years from now, when your children are in the school, and the school turns 100, and that principal and staff is having a fabulous celebration. Can you imagine that day 30 years from now? You might be a parent and your child might be here. And then you would share your history of what happened here today. And don't forget our bricks, okay? Children, I promised to start with a greeting and all of that, but then you know I talk too much. And you also know I always move away from the plan. So, let's get back to the plan. Okay. Learners, staff, and honored guests. It is with great sadness that I greet you all here today, because a very dear friend and educator, Miss Russell, passed on last Wednesday. Kindly bow your heads in a moment's silence, please, to remember this very beautiful educator who loved teaching history. Thank you, everyone, for that. You know, children, educators, and special guests, knowing that this wonderful educator is now in heaven adds new appreciation for all present today. It reminds us that we need to celebrate the time we have here on earth and be grateful always. Miss Russell, like I said, absolutely loved history. She planned to do a beautiful collage for today. And therefore, I am very proud of all my learners and staff members who worked extremely hard despite heavy hearts to celebrate this historical event by putting together a beautiful program. The 70 years we celebrate today is a huge milestone for all past principals, past educators, past learners, and community members. And I am so proud that today we could share this moment with these community members, past educators, and principals. Children, we have a very special principal here today. The last principal of the school before I took over was Mrs. Hay. Mrs. Hay is seated right here next to Mr. Naidu. Mrs. Hay retired in April 2019. Mrs. Hay was in the school for well over 30 years. Yes, her history of the school is remarkable. And she's done a lot of fabulous things for Brighton Beach. The one fabulous thing she did over the years, you know our beautiful building, we call it the new building? Okay, on that end, and we have the lovely functions room above. That was Mrs. Hay's gift to our school. She worked extremely hard to fundraise, get sponsors, and put that building together. So this photograph you see in front of you is a photograph of our school in 2015, before the new building started. The new building was completed around 2019 before Ms. Hay left. So that picture is a before picture. You will see the big gap, the grassy patch. There is no building there. Today when you go out into the field, we have a lot of exciting things happening. I have a lot of surprises for you. Didn't tell you about some of those surprises. Okay, because I can't tell you if it's a surprise, can I? No, can't tell you if it's a surprise. You have to wait for it. Okay, and also it's a celebration and it's a birthday. So a birthday should be fun, isn't it? Okay, great. So we're going to have fun today. Children, the one exciting thing that's going to happen on the field today is the beautiful young man sitting here videoing me giving my lovely speech. I hope it's a lovely speech. I'm not shouting at anyone today. I'm being a good principal today. Okay? I'm being a fun principal today. Okay? Because it's a celebration. Right, so what they are going to do is they are going to have a drone go over our school while you sit in your 70 formation. That's one of the surprises. And they are going to take out a new photograph. And the new photograph is going to show the new building. The new building is called the Louise Van Elden Center. The Louise Van Elden Center is named after Mrs. Louise Hay. Okay? And I think it is a very, very fitting name because for a principal to put together a building as beautiful as that is really, really an amazing, amazing achievement. Ms. Hay, I just want to say, I'm not sure that I could ever fill your very big shoes. However, today we complimented with the photograph and make history with you here. Okay, it is so wonderful meeting you, Ms. Hay. To the parents, the learners, the teachers, and all my service providers and community members that assisted me, I am most grateful for all your contributions, whether in donations and sponsors, or helping make the fanfare happen on the field today. Now children, parents, I want to remind you that this school, Ms. Hay, this school will continue to rise above all the adverse influences. And just like our banner shows our guiding light from the lighthouse, we will continue to shine brighter and rise above everything. And our school's beautiful discipline and amazing results, both on the field and in the classroom, will continue to make sure that our history of excellence in academics prevail long after all of us are not in the school. It's a tradition we hope to pass on to principals to come. And we hope some of the teachers in our school will rise to that occasion and continue that tradition. Now, you all know, I believe, that the most fundamental principle of learning is fun. I like everything to be fun. And I absolutely appreciate the educators in our school who make the effort to make learning fun. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand you all over to Ms. Cass and our beautiful learners to tell us more about the history of our school in a fun and delightful way. You know, I believe that when our children do it better, then we as educators can say very safely that we have arrived and our work is done. So over to Ms. Cass and her lovely learners.
Dr. Naika. Please may the choir stand and exit the hall. The educators and learners of Brighton Beach have been hard at work to present us with the following presentation.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning, Miss Grace.
In today's lesson, we will be exploring the history of our very own school. On the 27th of May, Brighton Beach turns a whopping 70 years old. With its rich history and ethos, there's much to explore.
Miss Grace, why does our school badge look like this?
If you are not aware, our school's motto is Lux Nobis Dux. So what exactly does this mean? Lux Nobis Dux, translated, means light is our guide. It is associated with a lighthouse featured in the upper portion of the badge, which signifies a lighthouse guiding ships to safety. In much the same way as knowledge gained at school guides learners through life, the lighthouse featured is symbolic of the bluff and the close proximity of the school to the lighthouse. The fish represent the dolphins, which are often seen in the sea, which is close to our school.
Yes, that is so interesting and unique. But what about our mission and vision? What is it, Miss Grace?
Our vision is to create a pleasant, happy and safe learning environment through responsibility, motivation, mutual respect and good values.
That's correct. To sum up Brighton Beach's mission, Brighton Beach aims to maintain an excellent standard of education through the promotion of cooperation, mutual respect and a meaningful contribution in our changing society.
I read that Brighton Beach was first known as Brighton Beach Infant Government School and its doors opened January 1951.
Yes, there were only 2 people running the school, Mrs. Bond as acting principal and another teacher, Mrs. Y. Nelson.
I wonder who taught and attended our school over the years.
Let's take a look at the principals, educators and learners that have paved the way for us.
Happy 70th anniversary to Brighton Beach. My name is Zulfia Khan and I attended the school in 2010 to 2013. I matriculated in 2018, having achieved 7 distinctions in subjects including maths, physics, and biology. I recently graduated summa cum laude from the University of KwaZulu-Natal with a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree. While at the school, I was a prefect, vice captain of Cato House, obtained academic honors, and participated in ECAs such as badminton and Toastmasters. I am very grateful to the teachers I had at Brighton Beach who taught with passion and care. I can attribute my success to them. In specific, I would like to thank Ms. Shraddha because her determination and passion for mathematics has allowed me to grow my love for the subject, having achieved 94% for mathematics at university. The basics that Ms. Shraddha has taught me have stuck with me throughout my entire schooling career. Nevertheless, I am appreciative of all my teachers at Brighton Beach. I was fortunate enough to receive such a high standard of education at a young age from teachers who truly cared about their students. Without a foundation as strong as mine, my success would not be possible, and I have only my primary school to thank for this. Brighton Beach Senior Primary School. Thank you.
Good morning. Nika, staff, and pupils of Brighton Beach. For those of you who do not know me and have not yet met me or worked with me, or had the privilege to be taught by me, let me introduce myself. My name is Mrs. Brenda Besaidnote, and I joined the staff in the year 2000 as HOD, and I stayed there for the next 13 years until I went on pension. May I really congratulate you on this wonderful milestone birthday. What a privilege to have been associated with Brighton Beach, such an excellent school. I was so proud to be a teacher at Brighton Beach. I recall fondly all the wonderful times we had there, on the sports field, in the hall with concerts, and in the classroom. We had such a variety of activities, ranging from activities like Toastmasters, etiquette evenings, choral evenings, art activities, art festivals. We took part in the BSOP drive, recycling. We went for beach cleanups, and I know at this moment you're still doing all of these activities and enjoying it. May the school go from strength to strength. Blessings, and enjoy being part of the family of Brighton Beach. All the best for the future.
Happy birthday, Brighton Beach, all the way from Johannesburg, from Mrs. Pick and Troytje. So I thought I'll put him in my video for everybody to see. Say hello, Sienna. Hello. Hello. Ja, yay. Say, feels geluk, lieve Brighton, omdat jij verjaart. Yay! 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 I cannot believe that it's almost been 10 years ago that I started my journey at Brighton Beach, and I will be forever grateful to Mrs. Hay that gave me the opportunity to work there and be part of the Brighton family. And I am just wishing and praying all the best for Brighton Beach for the future. It's been 2 years, 1.5 years, going on 2 years that I left, and it's scary to think that only half of the school that's there knows me, but I do wish all the best for Brighton for the future. May you continue to grow. Excuse me. May you continue to grow. I pray for all the teachers there, the amazing staff, all the children, and happy birthday.
Happy 70th birthday, Brighton Beach. What a long history we have had together. From starting out as a student at Brighton Beach, going through grade 4 to grade 7 with Miss Van Alden, who is now known as Mrs. Hay, as my principal, and the late Mr. Nicol, Mrs. Nicol's husband, was the principal there as well. So there's a lot of history, and in many years I came back later to be a student teacher, and I had tremendous guidance and counselling from the teachers that were there that shaped the teacher that I have become today, and I am forever grateful for the opportunities that Miss Hay gave me to grow as a teacher and as a student. And I then got a job at Brighton Beach and spent a good chunk of my time, 6 years, as an educator at Brighton Beach, and implementing hockey tournaments and doing as much sports as I could, because it was a passion of mine to have the students enjoy that. And the students at Brighton Beach are just amazing. So much so that people poach them, the other schools, we know who they are. They poach our wonderful sportsmen because You know, the Bluff produces amazing sportsmen, and Brighton Beach itself, the values we instill and the drive that we instill in the kids to do great academics and sports is just amazing. And I think it's impacted many people and created, I know at least for me, a wonderful family amongst the teachers and even the parents, something that I will always remember. And I hope the legacy continues to help new teachers and students that pass through. Happy birthday, Brighton Beach. Many more years to come.
I wonder if Brighton looked this back in the day.
I doubt it. Our school used to be at St. Margaret's Church, and only 48 learners could attend. Only 48? Wow.
I heard that Brighton had a grade 1 and 2 class, so different to now.
Sorry, girls. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You are correct. Brighton's intake numbers reached grade 4, and a bigger premises was needed. On the 27th of May, 1953, Brighton opened its new doors on this very site, under the control of Mrs. J.M. White. There was a rapid growth, and Brighton even had a grade 8 class at one stage. Later, after peaking at 550 learners, the junior primary phase moved to Glen Ardo's infant school. Miss Nadu, after that there were many additions to the original building, such as the introduction to School Hall in 1963, the annual block in 1965, and don't forget the swimming pool in 1967, and the library and computer room became separate in June 2006.
And our lovely spacious classroom and function room was carefully planned and executed by Mrs. Hay. We are also ever grateful to be using the space that a year was once used to occupy the aftercare center.
Yes, girls, the aftercare center is on the second field, where there is a vast amount of space for lots of fun to be had. Let's take a look at life at Brighton over the years.
But chess has me thinking.
We have been very fortunate to have been so many different extracurriculars over the years. This has given rise to sporting teams to get to so many different achievements. Let's take a look, boys and girls.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it, do it better than anybody you ever seen. Do it, scream from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I get sick, super with this thing music, know what I mean? The clock's ticking, I just count the hours. Stop tripping, I'm tripping off the power. The school's closed, the place is open. Everybody we rollin', everybody we rollin', with some light-skinned girls and some heavy rollers. And it's white man world, we the ones chosen. So good night, cool world. Letting everything go. You got the power to.
The choir will now perform A Million Dreams.
Through the dark, through the door,
choir, I would like to call up Ms. O'Connor to introduce our guests of honor.
Good morning. I would like to start off by welcoming Mrs. Hay and asking her to come and give her speech.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me to this very, very special celebration. I've loved every minute of what you boys and girls and teachers have put together today. I have wonderful memories of Brighton Beach, some of which I'd like to share with you this morning. I transferred from Johannesburg to Durban in January 1981. A long, long time ago, and I was informed that I would be teaching at Brighton Beach Senior Primary. I remember driving down Marine Drive the first day of term, only to witness the most spectacular sea view, and I knew that I would love teaching at the school. Now, that was more than 40 years ago. I taught grade 7, then known as Standard 5. I initially taught all the subjects, but eventually just taught maths and science. They were my favorite subjects. My classroom was the one nearest the staff room, very convenient. Being a lover of sport, I was soon involved with coaching swimming, hockey, squash, athletics. I loved being involved with the extracurricular activities, as I enjoyed getting to know the learners from a very different perspective. I remember one particular afternoon coaching athletics. I had the King House training session to do, and all the King House athletes were sitting in the oval off the track, and I was demonstrating how to start a race, how to get on your marks, when a snake, probably just a variegated bush snake, slithered over my foot. Of course, I got such a fright. I jumped and screamed and shrieked, and I saw a wave of learners rising up and fleeing as the snake headed towards them. It didn't hurt anyone, but it certainly got the adrenaline going, and we had an excellent training session after that. Where the new building is today was a row of prefabricated buildings. The one nearest the stairs to the field, the building nearest to that, was the library. And I see Mrs. Kun here today. You'll remember that, Mrs. Kun. Then there was a big storeroom, and next to that was the science lab, which was well kitted out with science equipment. But we also had little boxed sets of miniature science equipment, tiny little tripods, tiny little test tubes and gauze mats and little burners. And these were the firm favorites, as there were enough of them for the learners to work in pairs and to conduct their own science experiments. Instead of watching a teacher demonstration, it's far nicer to do it by themselves. I did have to be on my toes though, as I had to extinguish a few fires when methylated spirits, which we filled the little burners with, spilt on the desk. But we had a lot of fun. As Dr. Naika said, learning is about fun. The grade 7s were learning about kinetic energy, and had to make a toy which was able to move by itself, either on land, or in the water, or in the air. The ideal spot to test the toys was at the pool, as we had the benefit of all of those elements. Well, I stood with my mark file, assessing the toys as they were demonstrated. All was going well, till a toy moved across the cement and came directly towards me. I stepped back to get out of its way and stepped right into the deep end of the pool. Well, the learners didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They fished out my file and the floating mark sheets with a pool net, and needless to say, I leapt out of that pool like Superwoman in one movement, high heels and all. What fun days we had. I witnessed a number of changes taking place in 40 years that I've been associated here. Where the media centre is today was the woodwork room, used only by the boys, as the girls then learnt needlework. There was no computer room behind the media centre. That came much later, as you heard. Where the drive-through is was just grass and a hedge and a school gate. There was no waiting area. There were no awnings for the staff to park their cars under. The stands at the pool and on the field were rebuilt and resurfaced. As years went by, old school desks, remember the ones with the old lids that lifted up like that? They've certainly done their time. They were replaced with the far more modern tabletop desks that you use today. The classrooms certainly weren't air-conditioned, neither did they have whiteboards, and there were no computers around, so things have certainly changed. The school uniform too underwent changes. Boys initially wore grey safari suits, and the girls' dresses, although the same colour as you wear today, were a far different style, and they were worn with a belt. Well, in 1991, I took up a promotion post as a head of department at Warner Beach Senior Primary. But I returned to Brighton Beach 4 years later, in 95, as the deputy principal of the school, under Mr. Nicol. He then retired 2 years later, and I became the acting principal until I was appointed in 1998. When I retired in 2019, I'd been the principal here for 20 years, a long time. The grade 7s currently sitting in the hall were sitting in grade 3, so they hadn't even come to the school yet. So it's a long time ago. Therefore, I don't know many of you. I recognize a few who perhaps had brothers and sisters here at the school, but I do look forward to sharing the morning with you. I believe my love for the school stems from working with a wonderful, talented staff, having respectful learners, supportive parents, and being deeply involved in all aspects of the school life. We all enjoyed much camaraderie, and we had mountains of fun. Important as it is to have great facilities, the success of the school is really about the people. Parents wanted their children to attend Brighton because it had built up a fine reputation for academics, sport, and cultural activities. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Just so with a school, everyone has responsibilities. The learners, the teachers, support staff, parents. Attitude and values play a big role in the success of a school. We make choices every day. We decide what to wear, what to eat, how we should react, how to behave, whether or not to work hard, etc. The trick is to make the right choices, as we know. Every choice has consequences, be they good or bad. Values too are important. If you treat people with respect, they'll respect you. The same with honesty, caring, truthfulness, responsibility, and good manners. It's your responsibility now to maintain and build on the good reputation the school enjoys. Perhaps one day, when you're much older, you'll be able to look back and reminisce about the wonderful memories too. And so, in closing, happy birthday, Brighton Beach Senior Primary School. I am so thrilled to be a part of this day. Dr. Naika, I wish you, the learners, the staff and parents of Brighton every success as you carry the school towards the next decade. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hay. Boys and girls, if you look to my left, on the stage you will see that there are some people standing here. There's something very special about them. Like you, they once attended the school or they taught here. I'm going to start with a reminiscence from Mrs. Leal. You might recognize that surname. Mrs. Leal also attended the school many years ago, and she currently has a grandson here. She also had 2 other grandsons that attended the school. So this is a little note from her. My parents purchased a property on the Bluff in December 1954, and I was enrolled as a pupil from January 1955 to 1959. In those days, the school was one main building constructed on concrete pillars. The classrooms were built upstairs, with the girls' and boys' toilets at either end of the corridor. The principal's office and stationery stockroom were located downstairs where the present admin offices are situated. The headmistress at the time was Miss Wife. School days at Brighton were fun-filled days, with learning and mainly athletics taking place. There was no swimming, as there was no swimming pool. My late mother and the committee at the time raised funds to build the school pool. Physical training and athletics took place, with the girls wearing big baggy bloomers and a white square-necked cotton shirt. The boys wore black rugby shorts and a t-shirt, nothing like the fancy gear that you wear today. As a past pupil and now a grandparent, I am proud that my grandsons Cameron and Connor Duncan, as well as Ethan Leal, have had the privilege of attending Brighton Beach Senior Primary. They too, like me, will have very special memories of days at Brighton. I thank all past and present teachers for their dedication to a very noble profession. Be proud of your school. Thank you. Up next, I would like to ask Mrs. Canny to come and tell you about her time at Brighton.
Good morning, learners and educators. Thank you for giving me this chance to share my memories of Brighton Beach Senior Primary School. I started my years at Brighton Beach in January 1973. Yes, 50 years ago, a long, long time ago. I was lucky in that my mom, Mrs. Kun, was a teacher here. So I had visited the school before I actually became a learner. Our school uniform was very similar to what you girls wear today, but we had a big white straw hat that we had to wear every day, which was such a pain. After that, they changed it to a green beret. I have very fond memories of my 4 years at Brighton Beach. I was in the swimming team and spent many hours training in the pool. I was in Cato House. Hands up those in Cato. That's the best house, isn't it? But very sadly, when I was at the school, Cato lost everything. But it didn't stop Cato's spirit, and we shouted and cheered all the time. One of the most visited places in the school in those days was the tuck shop. I've just bought this packet of chips this morning. I paid 8 rand for it. Who can guess what I paid for a packet of timber chips when I was at school? I don't think any of you are right. I paid 5 cents. Okay. When I was here, we were full of respect for our educators and mostly paid attention in class. We learnt all the normal subjects, although they were called different things in those days. It was English, Afrikaans, maths, science, history, geography. We also had domestic science for the girls, where we learned to sew and knit and embroider and even cook a little bit. And the boys did woodwork. The domestic science room was in that front classroom near the steps. There were stoves and all sorts of things in there. We also had PE, music, once a week. When I was in Standard 5, which is now grade 7, we were taught Zulu by the headmaster, Mr. Wilson at the time. The lesson was the last period on a Friday afternoon. Now we all know that's the longest period of the week because we all want to go home. If we had not done well or we had misbehaved during class, he made us sing a Zulu lullaby as the rest of the school was dismissed and walked past our classroom and all laughed at our singing. It was so embarrassing, so we tried to be good for that lesson. But besides that, we learnt all the basic Zulu conversations, which to this day I can still remember. The same applies to many of the lessons in the other subjects that I learnt, which just shows the quality of education at Brighton's that's lasted through the years. I've had a very long association with Brighton Beach. My mum, Mrs. Kun, was an educator here for about 32 or more years. My brother attended the school, and later in life my daughter attended Brighton Beach. My daughter said she got her desire to become an educator from her days at Brighton Beach, and today she's been an educator for 11 years and loving every moment of it. If I could give you all one bit of advice, that would be to enjoy your days at Brighton Beach, to have fun, to learn hard, to pay attention, to be respectful, and gain everyday experience. And it will be beneficial to each and every one of you in the years to come. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to speak to all of you and to share my memories. And I wish Brighton Beach Senior Primary School a very, very happy 70th birthday And may the school prosper for another 70 years and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Kenny. I think there's a few teachers here that have some very good ideas about a Friday afternoon now. Next, we are going to hear from Mrs. Kuhn.
Boys and girls and fellow teachers, you have no idea how happy I am to be here today. Because it was a long, long time ago that I was here, over 30 years ago, and I was here for 30 years. I taught here for over 30 years. And if I tell you that that was a third of my life, then all those that are good at maths should be able to work out how old I am. Anyway, that's beside the point. I am so happy to see a sea of young faces patiently sitting and listening to all of us, behaving like little angels until you get outside, hey? But you really have behaved exceedingly well, and I congratulate your staff and teachers. You have behaved beautifully, indeed. I came here in, it was 1959, 1960, somewhere about there, and the hall had just been opened, this beautiful hall that we still have and enjoyed for all these years. It just been completed, and we were so proud of this hall, so proud of it. And we were even frightened to walk on the tiles because we might scratch them. But nevertheless, it was a great joy to us. No swimming pool, of course, because it hadn't been erected or, what shall we say, constructed at that stage. But I wasn't here very long, and they started, and we soon had that beautiful pool, which to this day has been a wonderful asset to the school. There seems to be something about snakes in the school, because the swimming pool did not have the lovely concrete stands that they have there today. It was a bank, a grass bank. And we used to put down blankets and a tarpaulin, canvas or something like that. And one night when we were having a swimming gala, somebody shouted, "Snake." And there was a snake. And of course there was a lot of screaming, not for the person who won the race, but to get away from the snake. But anyway, to my recollection, the snake got away unharmed, and nobody was bitten, so all was well. But it just added to the flavor and the wonderful years and the laughter. We had a wonderful staff, as you have now. We were all friends and we worked together. We had lots of fun, but we worked very hard. And I'm so happy to hear that you are all working so hard now. Because I promise you, this is the foundation of your life. And you work hard here. You're like a building. And this, you know, is the very important part of a building, is the foundation. The part that goes at the bottom that has to hold this house up, or the building. And you are here to get your foundation. Make it a good one. Make it a strong one. And you will never regret it. Work hard, play hard, and be very, very thankful for what you have. Because I tell you, you are the best school on the bluff, but don't tell anybody because they'll say we're boasting. But we believe that, don't we? Yes. Do we believe that? Yes. We do. We do indeed believe that. Now, I just have to see what I did mean to say. Okay, right. The woodwork room was the library, and Mrs. Hay just told you that that was the library, and that's where I spent a good many of my years later on. At first, they sent me here as a PE teacher, of all things. Can you imagine me as a PE teacher? But anyway, that's what I was sent here. We didn't use the hall, no. Our hall was too beautiful and too new, and we couldn't use the hall. In any case, it's too near the classrooms. It was too much noise. So I used to get my class, and change, all the way down to the bottom field, not the top one, the bottom field, have about 10 minutes PE, and then walk all the way up 2 lots of stairs, go back to the change rooms, change, and get you back to the class to take the next class. It was quite strenuous, but then I was only about in my late 20s, so I could do it. Anyway, that was my first introduction to Brighton Beach. I was not a PE teacher. Anyway, we battled through that, and then they found out that I was a far better class teacher than I was a PE teacher. So thank goodness I got into a classroom, and I loved my class. I think I had a grade 4 or 5. Then later on in life, the library teacher was transferred away, I think, and they asked me to take over the library. It was daunting, but I did it, and it was the happiest time of my life, because children, I can't tell you how important reading is to you. And unfortunately in our country, our reading statistics are not good. We're not good a country at all. We're nearly one of the worst, which is very sad to say. And I know you can all read, I know that, because you wouldn't be here if you couldn't read. But you have to learn to read a lot, to read fast, and to understand what you are reading. And you know the only way an athlete can get really fit? How does an athlete get fit? Yes, over there, boys. Exercise. You've got to exercise to be a good athlete. You have to read to be a good reader. Please, I beg of you, read. Read as much as you can. Read all these new funny books with pictures, and that's fine, as long as you read. That is the most important thing for you. And I want you to please, if you remember this funny old lady that spoke to you, just remember the word read. And then I think that is just about as much as I have to say for myself at this age. I was a great one for sport. I loved sport. And I coached athletics, cross country, swimming, badminton, and my favorite, soccer. There is a beautiful big silver cup in the school, and usually at prize giving they used to fill it with gorgeous flowers and put it on the stage here. That was the under 10 cup that we won against Durban North and all of Durban. We won the cup, and then they disbanded that tournament afterwards and left us with the cup. So we still have a cup from all that time ago. So if you ever see a cup on the stage with flowers in it, you'll know that that's what we want. There's one thing too, that when I came here this morning, some very charming young ladies and gentlemen came and met us at the car. And they were polite and friendly. Children, I can't tell you how happy that made me to see that kind of thing. And even the child who can't be an athlete or isn't great at academics, you can still be a great asset to your school. And do you know how? With manners. With manners. The way you walk home from school, the way you behave in the bus, the way you treat visitors to your school, the way you smile at people and be kind. In the supermarkets, that would be an absolute asset to your school. Every one of you can keep the name of your school high, very, very high. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask Mrs. Dirksen to please come up now to give her speech. Good morning to each and everyone present. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you all this morning. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Leonie Dirksen and I am the chairperson of this year's governing body. On behalf of my governing body teammates, I'd like to thank everybody that made this day possible. Dr. Naka, the educators, admin staff, support staff, and all our generous sponsors. Our children are truly blessed. Dr. Naka certainly runs a tight ship and keeps us all on our toes. There are many meetings and much to assist with. We as the parent component appreciate all that Dr. Naka has done for our school and hope to see the school continue to grow under her leadership. The values that our children are taught here, such as good manners, respect, discipline, hard work, academic excellence, and sportsmanship are the values that we treasure, appreciate, and hope will always be the foundation and the light that guide our children in their daily lives. Before we call on Mrs. Jenkins and Mr. Naidu to cut the cake, I will leave you these inspiring words by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Live in the sunshine, swim the sea, drink the wild air. Thank you.
Dr. Naika, please can you come to the stage? Mrs. Jenkins and Mr. Naidu, please may you come forward to cut the cake.
Okay, children, I want to say a very special thank you to these beautiful people who, like I mentioned at the start, this is history in the making. They took us through their experiences in our school and they made it live by telling us all the beautiful things that happen in our school. I really thoroughly enjoyed every single thing that was said. Mrs. Kuhn, you have a position in our school. You are welcome back. We're not sure if we want to give you PE, and we won't send you to the bottom field, but you're most welcome. And yes, I too think reading is the most valuable asset for any learner. You should all be readaholics. Anyway, if I didn't say this before, I'm a readaholic, and Mrs. Kuhn and her words are truly wise. Children, if you look at our new banner up there, that's our brand new banner, one of the symbols of our 70th anniversary. I did tell you about the new photo we're doing today to mark Ms. Hayes' beautiful contribution to our buildings and our landscape. So we'll have a before and an after photograph that we will have today. Then the next symbol to mark our 70th birthday is this beautiful plaque that we will be revealing very soon to you. And of course, the bricks that you will contribute with your name and your special message will be put up, and then we'll have a very, very special assembly to mark your time in the history and birthday of our beautiful Brighton Beach. Now children, our cake was designed by a very lovely parent, Mrs. Karina Adenal, and she and I sat in my office and we designed the cake together. So I want to present the cake to you, okay? See, even principals make mistakes, especially when you're just talking from the heart. It's not prepared, okay? So, children, this is the fabulous cake that Mrs. Karina Adenal created all by herself, okay, free of charge, to celebrate this beautiful day with us. Ma'am, would you like to stand so our children can see you? There she is. Give her a big round of applause. So, just like the 70 on our bank in the front, we have our nice big 7 in our red, okay? And then our colors are black and white as well. So, she did a very, very special treat for us since we love soccer and rugby. And well, I do believe a circle means we'll be together for forever and we never have to part. So she's got the circle in black, and inside the circle, she has our beautiful monogram, okay? She's got the entire monogram beautifully done, okay? I wish I could show it to you, but you know what? We'll take out a photograph, okay? And then we'll have that photograph displayed so everybody can enjoy the beauty of this cake another time as well. And then she has Lux Novus Ducks on it. Perfectly. Thank you so much, ma'am. This is so beautiful. I'm not sure if we want to cut it. It's just too gorgeous to look at. Okay, so as is usual in a party, we are looking for the knife. Oh, okay, the knife is coming. The knife's making a grand entrance. Okay, so while we wait for the knife, I just want to say, if you look at our cake, okay, you can, okay, I think the knife is here so I can stop talking, children. Okay, yeah, okay, don't worry. My name always went on the board when I was in school. Always went on the board. I always got caught for talking, okay? Right, so Mr. Naidu, always the gentleman, our lovely vice chairperson. He's giving the lady that handles our school money, Mrs. Jenkins, our school treasurer, the honor of cutting a piece of the cake, okay? And I think they've sliced through it perfectly. Did you guys measure that? Do we have like a perfect, gosh, they measured it so beautifully. Maths teachers would be so proud of them. Okay, give them a big round of applause. Now children, the tradition is, when we cut the cake, we feed it to the birthday person. What are we going to do now? I'm not 17. I'm not 17. I'm 17. Okay, children, you know what? Like I said, I will never be able to put up a fabulous building like Miss Hay did, but I will try. I will try to maybe do something else before I go. But for now, can we call Miss Hay to the stage to be the birthday girl as our very special guest of honor? Can we feed you the cake? Miss Jenkins, Miss Hay, I told you there were surprises. Okay, so birthdays are fun, okay? Mr. Naidu cut a nice big slice. And it's chocolate on the inside. Check, children, it's chocolate. I thought of everything. I thought of everything. Absolutely. I am going for the Best Principal Award. Please, please, I'm trying here. I'm trying. Chocolate on the inside. Aren't you excited? Did you get a nice picture of that? Okay, wonderful. Is it tasty, Miss Hay? Delicious. Okay, so can we have Mrs. Ardernal on MasterChef, Miss Hay? Yes. We can. We can.
The cake is absolutely delicious. I can guarantee it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of that slice. So I'm going to go and sit down now. But I'm sure some of you will have the benefit of tasting it as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Hay, and thank you for being such a sport and coming and enjoying the cake with us. Thank you, Miss Hay. That was so lovely. Are you trying with cream as well? Okay, you do that. You do that. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, children, I'm going to hand over the mic to our lovely program director and be a good principal so she can do her job well.
Thank you, Mrs. Nadia and Mrs. Jenkins. Mrs. Hay, can you come forward again, please? Please may you join us on stage for the unveiling of the 70th celebration class.
Ready? These children will be on our school walls to mark this particular day and this particular moment in history. And alongside it will be all your bricks with your fabulous messages, so you too will be part of the Brighton Beach history. Okay, now, after we do the cake and we unveil the plaque, what do you think we should do next?
The 70.
The 70. No. We have one more surprise. I like surprises. I love surprises. So, our next surprise, over to Miss Cass. Thank you very much.
while the guests of honor enjoy a glass of grape juice.
It's amazing years of history, and I'm glad to be part of it. In the Navy world, when we celebrate such a milestone, normally head of house is thrown in a sea or a pool. Which one will you choose? Okay, as we do the toast, because it's a big milestone, can you all stand? Those who are with us, let's raise the glass up. Cheers to many more years to come, many more decades to come of excellence in education and sports. Cheers!
Of the grape juice, and you may be seated, children. Thank you.
Mrs. Watson, please may you present the votes of thanks.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Dr. Naka, the SGB, the staff, parents and learners, we'd like to thank the following people. All our wonderful parents for the generous donations towards the glass tokens for each learner to cherish. The drone to capture the school on this day, this very special day. The plaque to commemorate this day. Mrs. Adnell for the beautiful anniversary cake, created exactly to Dr. Naka's specifications, well done. To our local CPF team, especially Wes and Avi, for arranging and gathering on the field of all our local police, security force and CPF members, as well as the members of our security and safety committee. To myself for organising the blasting of the souvenirs and assisting the support staff of the signage. To Bongani and Professor for creating the 70 flower bed outside and putting into effect Dr. Naka's vision. To Ms. O'Connor for assembling all our special guests as well as arranging all these rehearsals to make it a perfect day. To Mrs. Stephanie Pillay and her team for the decor. to Mrs. Stephanie Pillay for the coordinating the choir and the drummies, Miss Cass for all the items and being the program director, Miss Cass and Miss Pillay and the amazing team for creating the video presentation, the setup of the hall, Miss Sheikh for arranging the catering and the decor, as well as the beautiful plaque, Miss Lamini and her Zulu dancers, who we'll be seeing just now. Mr. Naika is Dr. Naika's husband, and he sourced the souvenirs and getting all the ice creams sponsored for free. So you guys will enjoy that just now. Mr. Yonka and Mr. Farid for the beautiful banner, designed by Mr. Yonka and brought to fruition by both young men. Mr. Buck for the sound, and for planning the 70th anniversary sign on the field with all the learners, to Mr. Buck and his team. To John Dories and Genesis Schoolwear for our new signage. To Bongani and Professor for bringing our old signage back to life. To all the special guests who made their way here today, thank you. To our SGB members who supported this event wholeheartedly. To our neighbouring principals and community partners in educational excellence. To every single member of staff who assisted to make this day perfect. And last but not least, on behalf of the HGB learners, staff and parents, we'd like to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Naika, for always putting such attention to detail in planning these events. This was a special celebration and you and your team did an amazing job. Well done. We can all agree that you deserve to take a break after this. What do you do when you have a Kit Kat? Take a break.
Thank you. Please may the following guests of honor join me on stage to receive a token of our appreciation. Mrs. Hay, Mrs. Leo, Mrs. Kun, Mrs. Kenny, Mrs. Auld, Mrs. Waterman, Miss Karina Adenal, please may you come forward to accept a bouquet as a token of thanks. Mrs. Derrickson and Mrs. Jenkins, please may you come to join us to accept this token of our gratitude. And there's another surprise by Dr. Naika.
Oh, children, the next surprise is on the field. But before we do that, is Miss Stephanie Pillay here? Where's Miss Stephanie Pillay? I'm sure she's on the field. Okay, children, I reserved a special bouquet for Miss Stephanie Pillay because I'm sure all the teachers and all the learners will agree. When I started this project for the 7th year, Miss Stephanie Pillay started the minute I told her with the choir. Am I right? Yes. And with everything else. I thought she deserved a special bouquet because, quite frankly, all the beautiful things you see on this place, I've asked her to go ahead and make her vision come true. And she did. She asked me for the things she wanted. She asked me for permission for a lot of things. Some of the things I said yes to without even really thinking about it. But don't you think she made it a very, very beautiful and classy and memorable event? Yes. Although she's not here, can we give her a round of applause?
Right, we have come to the end of our assembly. Please stand for the singing of the national anthem. Thank you, boys and girls. Thank you for joining us for our special celebration this morning. Please may you remain behind as the learners proceed to the field. Boys and girls, you will now assemble on the field to form the 70th sign. Grade 4 learners, please may you face the doors.